Are you being really strategic with your literature review? Have you got an actual process you're following for every item you read? Maybe you have. Maybe you've got a spreadsheet or a checklist, and if so, that is great. But just give me a few minutes because I've got 5 tips that are going to save you time and that are going to help you get even more efficient with your literature review. And you've probably got quite a lot to read, so probably worth watching. If you're new to my channel, welcome. I'm Dr. Elizabeth Yardley and I've spent 20 years working in UK universities supporting postgrad and PhD students through their dissertations. Everything I have learned in that time, I am sharing via this channel. So if you haven't already subscribed, come and join the party. Okay, let's get straight into it with tip number 1, intentional active reading. So what is intentional reading? Here you need to establish exactly why you are reading any given item of literature and exactly what it's relevant for. Here you're thinking back to your research aims and your research questions. So you've got a piece of literature in front of you. You need to ask yourself, which of your research aims does this align with? Which of your research questions does this help you answer? What do you not know now that you're hoping you're going to know once you finish reading this item? What's it going to shed light on? When you approach reading in this way, you begin with a really clear focus. You're much less likely to drift and find yourself staring vacantly out of the window. Another thing that's really helpful here is getting the thing that you're about to read into a format you can annotate. Maybe print it out or save it as a PDF that you can edit. Interact with what you're reading. Make notes in the margins, highlight things, underline things, ask questions. As you're going through, as you're reading it, paragraph by paragraph, ask yourself, do I understand what I've just read? Does this passage of text that I've just read contain any information that's relevant to my research aims or my research questions? What can I use? What can I discard that isn't relevant? So that's the first tip, read intentionally. Okay, the next 4 tips are going to help you supercharge your critical analysis. Firstly, get really good at describing. Now, people are sometimes quite surprised to hear me talking about description being an important part of critical analysis, but it absolutely is. Description is super important because it helps convey your understanding of what you've read. And being able to describe something concisely and effectively means that you are really good at academic writing. The reason for this is because when you can describe something briefly and concisely, you haven't wasted anybody's time. You have distilled it down to the essentials and you've set a little bit of context, but you've done that in literally 1 or 2 sentences. Here, you need to be asking yourself, what are the main points? What are the key arguments? What are the major contributions that this piece of literature is making? For each item of literature that you read, make sure that you describe it very briefly in 1 or 2 sentences using phrases like these. Next up, interpret effectively. When you interpret a piece of literature, you're thinking about its meanings and its implications, specifically in relation to what you're doing in your research. Very specifically in terms of what you are looking at right now, your topic, your aims and your questions. What's relevant for your research? How can it be applied to your research? What are its implications for the things that you're looking at in your study? If you accept the arguments it makes, what does that imply for the topic you're looking at? What happens? What follows on from that? Who or what is affected by it? What are the implications when you start to apply its ideas and its arguments to your research? Use phrases like these when you're interpreting. Next up, learn how to evaluate properly. Evaluating is about deciding how valuable this item is. It's about making a judgment about its utility. Again, here we are being very specific. We're thinking about how valuable this item is for your research. What we're not doing is thinking about how generally valuable it is for your discipline. It's not about its esteem or its status as a piece of literature in general. It's about how helpful, useful, or insightful it is for what you are looking at. You might have read one of the big deal books or journal articles in your discipline, but when it comes down to it, the arguments and the ideas within that book or journal article aren't actually useful in terms of shedding light on what you're looking at, and that's fine. Think about strengths and weaknesses. Think about how convincing it is in terms of the arguments it makes, and link to that, what kind of evidence is it drawing on? Is that evidence compelling? Is it valid? Is it relevant? Use phrases like these when you're evaluating. Lastly, don't forget synthesis. When we synthesise, we're thinking about the item that we've just read in relation to all of the other items of literature that we've read. We're considering it in the context of the other literature we've read in this area. How is it positioned? Where does it sit? Which other items does it hang out with or clash with? Which other items does it agree or disagree with? What does it bring to the party? What does it do or say that other items of literature don't? Does it highlight something that others have skipped over or not even mentioned? Does it raise something completely new that you hadn't even thought of before? And when you're synthesising, use phrases like these. So to recap my 5 tips for your literature review. Firstly, you need to read intentionally. Secondly, you need to describe briefly. Thirdly, interpret. Fourthly, evaluate. And fifthly and lastly, don't forget to synthesise. I hope you found that helpful, and I'll be back soon with more tips on how to supercharge your studies. I'll see you then.